doesn't have to see it in a dream to know its significance. She knows it's one of those three things that opens the door of time. So that's what she talks to him about, and he's like, well, why are we doing this? This sounds awfully dangerous. So he's actually skeptical about her plan, but he's not going to question. She's the princess, and he's, not in his element, and he's following orders from the Deku Tree. So, but of course, yeah, it's a terrible idea, and I want the audience to get a vague sense that this is a terrible idea. This is a plan concocted by, two little bitty kids, like 10 or 12 or whatever. I always got the impression Zelda was older than Link. I'm not sure if she is, but, I kind of, figured that she was. So enough about Zelda's personality and flaws, I guess. I can go ahead and say that I had some, strange ideas about what Zelda should look like. Based on, well, okay, Ganondorf. I have some weird ideas about what Ganondorf should look like too. Not the voice because, like I said, I don't have any specific ideas for voices, but because his voice is a little too gentle and kindly. Like I've seen him play bad guys too, but even then, he's like a charismatic bad guy in a soft way. And Ganondorf, because he's a charismatic bad guy in a rough way, in a you can trust me because I'm powerful way. So my point is, the voice I was describing is Liam Neeson. And so when I thought of Ganondorf's physicality, I was thinking of Liam Neeson, just the way he looks, the way he carries himself. When Ganondorf is in his I'm a nice guy, please trust me mode to the king, he looks like Liam Neeson in my brain. So, but I wouldn't want him to have that voice, like voice acting wise. A little too gentle for him. Now, the reason that the king accepts Ganondorf as, I went back and listened to my own Let's Play. That's a little bit conceited, I guess. I don't know. But I went back and listened to it to see if it made any sense later. And I think I really fudged up trying to describe the beginning of the screenplay. Like, it's really... I'm not sure how much sense that made. But what I was describing was, like I said, a big fiery raid on a small village that the king is watching, and he's kind of saying to himself, I'll do everything in my power not to have this happen again. We have this internal turmoil, and there's an outside conflict. I didn't mention this at all, but there's an outside conflict from another country, and I think I can hear the groans from here, like, oh, don't try to widen the thing and make it all political. It's Legend of Zelda, and I'm like, I know. That's why I don't specify what country this is or what the conflict is, but basically just that Hyrule has, communication problems with bordering nations and border disputes just like every other nation. And they don't need all this, they don't need people, an entire estranged tribe within their own borders causing problems. And so when Ganondorf comes to him, he's not coming to him as an embassy of peace, because I was like, I want the king to kind of be at fault for his choices here. So the king is guilty for accepting Ganondorf's, offer of peace, because Ganondorf is offering him support in this war against this neighboring country or whatever. And it's not, like, a big part of it. It's just, it's barely mentioned. It's mentioned on the side, just so we get a vague idea of, why the king would do this. But it's not a huge part of it. Mostly it's just about Link, and it's seen through the mind of the eyes of a child or whatever. But there is that element that he's interested in keeping Ganondorf around because Ganondorf is powerful. But I'll come back to that in a bit. Impa here always kind of creeped me out when I was little. Sorry. I think she's scary looking. Partly because I've seen the official art of her, and the official art is scary. She and Nabooru both look kind of scary, like, I am macho woman, I must break you. Naburu's not macho, she's just creepy looking. But Impa's macho. Anyway, there's not a whole lot to her character. She dies in this movie, so, she dies in the, at the end of the first movie. You don't see her die, it's just kind of implied. But, I know what you're thinking. It's like, well, wait, who's the sage of, that's coming later. Not important right now. But, yeah, I don't know. She's a tough woman that's still very kind-hearted or whatever, and she has these Sheikah-like powers. She can ninja in and out of places, and yeah, she does escort Link. She's just not much in the way of lines, and she's not that important, but she does escort Link out of the castle when he and the princess are done talking. That's pretty much all she does at that point. But I wanted a lot of care. I didn't want her just to be a face in the background and people go, "Oh wait, I guess that's Impa." I did want her to have some kind of character to her. So, but it's pretty much all the characteristics I just described that just kind of are present. But she's not a big deal. So no more talking about her. This is where Gabora shows up, the owl. Basically, what she says to him, Kakariko Village isn't a factor at this point. You don't have to go through it. You don't have to talk to a. That's all video gamey. What she does is she says, we had to go to Death Mountain, but it's a tough climb, and there may be guards, and I'm not sure you can make it. It's a long walk. Like I said, I fixed the long walk to Hyrule Castle thing by having him hitch a ride with Malon, and that can also establish her character and get all that stuff out of the way. But what she does here is she calls Kapura Gabora, or she calls for him, and then she leaves. She says, I have to get back before... but he will come eventually. It may take a few hours. And the joke is, like I said, there's a lot of animal humor. I guess the joke is she disappears, with all her ninja powers or whatever, and he says, well, I guess we just wait for, he says, we'll find a safe place, and I can, find shelter for a while, and we'll just wait for this owl to, boom, he shows up. And he lands very, very hard on the ground. He's huge talons. He's a very large, menacing-looking owl, and he doesn't talk, like I said, but, the reason he doesn't talk is I wanted him to imply later that he's Rauru. I think this is a theory. I think it's a fan theory that Rauru and Kapura Gabora are the same character, which I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think it matters, but in my movie version they are. So Rauru is the Sage of Light who does not do anything, and that's why they're the same character. I want him to do something. I want something to define him as a character, and basically the thing that he's an owl is, I guess, he is reclusive and doesn't say much, but at least he's around. At least he meets Link before he, wakes him up in a void and says, hey, you aged. Sorry about that. The world is plunged in darkness. But yeah, no, Kapura Gabora takes him to the top of the mountain, and in the process, actually, they, run into another group of Gerudo on a scout mission, and they're like, that are, basically trying to sneak into Kakariko Village. Like I said, he doesn't visit Kakariko, but it does exist. And a troop of Gerudo that are going around the mountain to try to, find a position to attack Kakariko Village later, and they see Kapura Gabora, and they shoot at him. And that's a bit of a little action scene where the bomb flowers do come into play, because they don't come into play as much in the Dongo Caverns later, so I wanted them to come to play here. Basically, Link is being carried by this owl, and it's being shot at, by these Gerudo, and that's also his introduction to the Gerudo, because he doesn't interact with them much till the third movie, so I wanted to give them a little more presence. And he dips down, and he basically tells the owl to dive. He's like, dip down, I have an idea, and the owl just kind of gives him expression of, I'm going to get shot more if I get closer to these guys. But there's a little bit of a plateau where this bomb flower is. And the reason he knows that the bomb flowers explode is that one of the arrows from the Gerudo or the rocks or whatever they're throwing hits it and it blows up. But he, swoops down just enough that Link's feet can drag the ground. And it's also kind of a scary moment. I did a little bit of the side quest here to give myself extra time to talk, because I knew it was probably going to be very talky in this. So, a little bit of a scary moment where his feet are kind of, the owl can't control his flight pattern all that well. It's shaky, so he's, he drags his knees on the ground and his feet, and it's kind of rough, and he does that little running thing on the ground where he's trying not to, get face plant into the dirt. But what he's doing, he kicks the bomb flower, and it dislodges it, and as you dislodge those things, they blow up. So he dislodges it, and it's, rolls down off the cliff a little bit, and it rolls right into the midst of these Gerudo women that are shooting, and they get a moment to look at it before it's like GTFO, and that's pretty much the end of that. And then he gets to go to the top of the mountain and meet the Gorons, and that will be for next time, because like I said, I don't get that far here. I get to Death Mountain in this Let's Play, and that's it. I stop. So yeah, I sped up talking when we went in there to collect rupees to go buy a shield, so my other shield won't burn up. As far as the game goes, I think this is the only time that I've ever remembered to get the Hyrule. No, not the only time, because I've played this so many times. I'm sure there was one point where I remembered to do this. But 90% of the time when I played this game, I forget to get a Hyrule shield before I go into Dodongo's cavern, and my old shield burns up, and I have to play the game without a shield for a while. And I don't remember to go get it till later, because I'm stupid. So this is like the first time ever that I remember to get it before I go up the hill, go up the mountain. So, yay! I don't equip it in this Let's Play. I'll have to do that next time I go. The Happy Mask Salesman doesn't have a role in the movie for obvious reasons, but in the brief chaos when they reach Castletown and Link is you know that scene, I don't even like this movie very much, but you know that scene in A Bug's Life, or Crocodile Dundee maybe if you prefer, where they kind of enter the city and it's like, you know, this guy who's never seen the bustle of the city before, and he's like, wow, you know. So Link has a moment, you know, where he enters Castletown and it's like that. It's going to be very busy because it's market day, that's why Malon was going there. And so it's not real long, but there's a, you know, bustle, and he's confused, and he gets tussled around a lot, and one of the people that he bumps into and tries to sell him something is the Happy Mask Salesman. And he's not really a character, but I was like, that'd be funny, you know, I gotta cram as much Zelda into this as I can, for the, you know, for fans and for, you know, my own sake or whatever, because it'd make it a better movie, I think. One of the people is the Happy Mask Salesman, and I don't think that this popped into my head when I was writing it, but when I went back and looked at it the other day, I went, you know what? You know what voice I just heard come out of that Happy Mask Salesman in my brain? Greg Proops. So maybe he should do that, like 2 lines of the Happy Mask Salesman, if this was a movie. And I know it's not easy to say, even if this happens, it'll be like 30 years down the line or something ridiculous like that. And that's if, so probably won't happen ever. Sad, but true. But yeah, Happy Mask Salesman, Greg Proops' voice comes out of it. Just seems right to me. But yeah, he basically just tries to sell Link something. It's not a mask necessarily. It could be, I don't know. And then he's shoved aside, you know, Malon rescues him from the crowd. And there's that ugly guy. I never figured out, is he human or is he... He's emo. I don't know what he is. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to talk about. We're running out of time here, which is good. I did better explaining things this time than I did last time, I hope. Except to say, you know, I'll continue this next time and I get to talk about Dodongos and Gorons and other lovely stuff like that. And I don't know how much I talked about Zelda's character, actually, or what they see. Like I said, the whole conversation was, it's different, and different things happen. They don't just stand around the courtyard, they go different places, and she has, like, this room that she shows him with all this legendary, you know, this book that has all this information about the Song of Time and shit like that. But they do have the moment where, I was to say, my whole point of ranting is, they do have the moment where he looks in and sees Ganondorf, and Ganondorf sees him. It looks into his eyes. Because I remember that from the game, and I remember it kind of spooking me when I was little, when I first played it. I was like 8. I was easily spooked. I was a sheltered kid, but I think I've covered that. And also, if you've played I didn't play the N64 game with a Rumble Pack, but when I played on the GameCube, there's a Rumble Pack feature, and when Ganondorf looks at you, it shakes. I always thought that was cool, there's a rumble there. So yeah, go back and play either version with a Rumble Pack and check that part out, it's cool. Alright, well, until next time, hope you enjoyed, and sayonara, bye-bye.